Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to go over the results from the questionnaire that you filled out using SurveyMonkey, the leadership questionnaire. This is an opportunity to reflect on your competencies in various areas as judged by you. The questionnaire that you filled out corresponds to the multifaceted leadership questionnaire version number 5. And it goes over different approaches to leadership and your scores on these approaches. I will go over them in the slide deck, but online you will find your individual scores in a spreadsheet with your classmates. There'll be a unique identifier for you that you'll be able to that will allow you to find your own scores. And then there'll be some summary data, some averages for each of the categories at the bottom of the spreadsheet. You'll note that the order in which I cover the categories is not consistent with the order in the spreadsheet, and that is just a formatting issue that exists. So please just find the column that corresponds to the category that I'm reviewing, and then you can see your score there. Okay, let's get started. The first category that I like to talk about is contingent reward. So in this type of leadership, this is an individual who focuses clearly on the defined tasks. So what has to be accomplished, and then the way in which you motivate followers is to provide followers with rewards when they fulfill those tasks. So to really manage the task itself, management through rewards based on achieving certain outcomes. Okay. So this is more of a transactional style of leadership, and it can be very effective at meeting targets, at getting things done. We often think of this as early managers, something that can be quite useful for helping them to be able to accomplish and motivate people towards given clear outcomes. Right? This is in contrast to another leadership style, which is transformational leadership. So first is transactional. Now we're talking about transformational. Transformational leadership speaks to leading through kind of more of these encouraging your followers towards a certain high level goal. Right? So it creates valuable and positive change in others. It transforms followers into leaders. It's really about getting followers to self-manage, to be inspired to work towards something. Under transformational leadership, there are 4 categories on your spreadsheet that speak to this particular type of leadership. The first is intellectual stimulation. So under intellectual stimulation, these are the types of things that we would see when somebody is high on intellectual stimulation. Intellectual stimulation means that you inspire your followers to improve. You challenge their assumptions. You encourage them to take risks. You encourage them to solicit you yourself rather solicit ideas from your followers. And you're more learning oriented, which means you view challenge as an opportunity to learn something new. Right. The next category is individualized consideration. Now, in individualized consideration, this is interesting because this is where a leader really understands the needs of the follower. You know that person A is different from person B, who's different from person C, and you are able to treat each member of your team differently. You act more as a coach, as a mentor. You're empathetic. You listen quite carefully, and you celebrate achievements. All right, so a high score on this particular category indicates that this is something you favor. Inspirational motivation. This is the type of leader who is charismatic, who is able to articulate a clear vision, a sense of purpose, and get people marching in the same direction. Is typically a very strong communicator, right? When we think of inspirational leaders from history, they often meet this particular dimension. We think of Barack Obama, or you think of Winston Churchill. They would be inspirational motivators. And finally, within our transformational leadership paradigm, we have the idea of idealized influence. And this is where someone provides a role model for high ethical standards. This is somebody who is highly respected and who you want to live up to the standards set by this individual, right? Okay, so that's the transformational leadership model. The next set of categories is management by objectives. So you'd see MBOA with active in brackets or passive in brackets. And management by objectives is really managing towards a certain set of standards. In active management by objectives, what we see is that the leader is searching for deviations from rules or standards. So you're looking for cases where a person is not meeting standards, and then you're really managing those deficits, really. In management by objectives passive, this is where you wait for a full-blown error to occur, and once that error is detected, then you manage the error, right? So this is a far more error-based, weakness-based leadership style. Finally, there is the laissez-faire category. And this we would call the absence of leadership. This is where there actually isn't very much being done. You kind of just let people do what they are doing. All right, so all of these different types of leadership styles, this is how you view yourself. And you want to think about now there's great usefulness for both transactional and transformational leaders. So you want to think about whether you're in the right, what spaces within these areas you want to develop. And we know that management by objectives and laissez-faire they don't enjoy the types of outcomes that the other types of leadership do. So you want to think about, how can I move away from this type of leadership? Finally, I had you fill out a series of questions around outcomes, various outcomes that leaders achieve. Now, what's interesting here is that this is your perspective of how others are responding to you. So it's not, it still lies within your perception rather than what people are actually doing. But essentially what you're saying, if you have a high score in extra effort, you believe that people are putting in extra effort in response to the types of leadership that you're displaying, or would put in extra effort. Second is a measure of how effective you believe you are as a leader. And third is a measure of how satisfied you believe people who follow you are or would be. Okay, so it gives you a sense of the types of outcomes you believe you're achieving. And again, you want to think about, am I achieving the types of outcomes that I should be achieving? Am I focused on what I want to be focused on? Right? So hopefully this gives you something to think about in terms of your own leadership abilities, and hopefully it'll give you some insights into how to continue to develop your skills. Thank you very much, and take care.